Well, hello everybody, and yeah, I'm on StreamYard. Sorry for the slight change. We had a bit of a technical issue with the old Rumble.
Oh,
So,
I loved that drumming, Gobby. Good,
oh yeah,
lousy stuff.
yes, it's got to be done, hasn't it? It's got to be done with the old proper flag flying above us. It's
Oh, when
wonderful
you're
thing.
actually at a parade and it's live and it's loud, it's
Oh,
right
it's
by
awesome.
you. Oh,
Oh,
it's
it
unbelievable.
is. But yeah, so we're here, we're on. This should be an interesting live stream with the title that's up there. But it's something that we need to discuss, and I think we need to get out there. And I've been honoured that John will join us and give us the insights that he has on said subject, as I've already started to make my opinions quite well known.
You
So
you
on that,
have you have come out of the closet a little bit on your views, haven't you, Gobby? I mean,
just a
I
bit.
have watched your recent car videos, and but look, you're right.
Yeah,
We have to reach out to each other.
yes, we
It's
do.
the only way we're going to find a way out of this. Otherwise, we're going to be isolated, divided, and we'll all have to put up with whatever mess it ends up at. So
Yes,
there is a purpose to all this.
of
Now,
course it is.
look, on the basis that some people listening to this maybe will have not ever listened to any of your content before and certainly won't have any idea who I am,
Yes.
I'll just briefly say hello. My name is John.
Hmm.
I am a thinker and a philosopher for all of my life. I'm also, don't mind letting you know, that I'm in the last stages of my life. At the moment, I'm living with a terminal illness. And the chances are, even if I do exceptionally well with it, I'm probably not going to be here for much more than 2 more years.
Mm,
Now,
indeed.
on terms of someone who's got nothing left to lose, I look, I've never given a crap what people think about me. It's essential if you're going to be a philosopher. You can't be in a cage of other people's opinions. You have to be brave enough to strike out. So it's not that I would mind, but I am very well positioned to speak, and I've got years and years of study to speak from.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, and I'm also not a nutter,
No.
and I want us to live in a happy, peaceful life. So
Yes.
those three things together, and the fact that I'm Gobby's friend, is
Yeah.
why I'm on this stream tonight. And I hope that if you give me your time and attention, listen to what I've got to say, I will at least give you something interesting to consider.
Yeah.
So, on that basis, let's pick your brains first, Robbie. I mean, where are you at the start of this conversation?
Well, the last few videos that I put out, it's if anyone knows my channel, John knows. Well, we actually started. Well, I started talking about Doctor Who more than anything. But I've always had this interesting thing that's been burning away in the back of my mind, and it's got to a stage now where I feel that if we don't start speaking and saying what we feel and how we feel, and because there's a lot of people who feel the same way and they do feel isolated, I decided that it's time to start speaking out and start raising my concerns. And I know it's concerns of other people who I've spoken to, because some people won't speak, and I understand why they don't want to speak out because of the threat, jobs, etc. You got to be careful. Um, I see more. This is not really necessarily for me. Something give me eye. This is for my family, my kids, my grandkids. That something needs to be said and attention needs to be drawn because
It's as simple as this. It's the basis, but it might just help.
yeah, it might
It
just help.
might it might just help. And I mean, we are where we're at today because of October the 7th,
Yep, we
and
are.
and because of Israel and Gaza, and because
Yep,
of Jews and Muslims, and
yep,
a long history, of course, a very long history, but in terms of that particular situation, an extremely complicated history for the last 70 years.
yeah,
But by that issue exploding, we have this upsurge of anti-Semitism, pro-Palestinian support around the
yeah,
world,
we do.
and and we're seeing that especially in the West, and of course we've seen it every weekend, and and other times on the streets of London, in other protests around the country, and as shouldn't really be a surprise for political left because they've actually been up to these sort of tricks for a long, long time. I mean, I remember what we were pulling around the Brexit referendum,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
or the Peterborough by-election. Oh, that was a special
Well,
one.
that was that was a clever
Yeah,
one,
that
wasn't
was
it?
a very special one.
Yeah,
So
indeed
you
it
know,
was.
we've had these issues have come up before, but the pressure of the Gaza situation has ramped things up, and now it's come to the point where our politicians have finally been affected by it.
Yes. It's in their
And of
face.
course, earlier this very night, Rishi Sunak, the current selected Prime Minister of Great Britain, did you notice the word selected?
Yes, I did say
He,
yes, selected.
he spoke to the nation and told us that he's about to get tough.
Hmm.
We'll talk about that too.
Yes, we will. We
You
certainly
know,
will.
but clearly, this is the right time to be talking about this amongst ourselves, because if it's serious enough, the Prime Minister is just an address to the nation. We're not talking about something which is a fever dream out of our imagination.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
Now, I thought about how I wanted to structure what I want to talk about tonight. And there's
Yeah.
basically, you know, I'm a writer, you know, as well as a philosopher, and
Yes.
you just can't help it. A good story needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah, so I tend to think in those sort of terms. But what I would like to start with is to actually discuss the religion of Islam, the religion of Judaism, how they started, and
Yeah.
how they got to where they are today.
Yeah.
And that
That's really good.
sounds like a very big deal. And I promise you, there will be no depth to this whatsoever.
No, no.
But its purpose is to give a series of coordinates that not everybody might have. And
Exactly.
understanding this history and this relationship, it's essentially, if you're going to have a chance to understanding what's actually behind stuff today. So that's the first part. The
Yeah.
second part is I want to talk about extremist Islam
Yeah.
and how it metastasized like a cancer to spread across the world, and how it's only a 20th century phenomena.
Yeah.
And that again is something that I know is not well understood. Yes,
No.
extremist sects have always existed, but for them to spread and become widespread like they have now, so that we, you know, that's something which is unique to the 20th century. And I want to talk about that because I want us all to understand our part. By our, I mean as representative of the actions our governments have taken,
Yeah,
whether we're British
absolutely.
or American or other kind of West, our governments have taken, which have led to this situation today. Again,
Yes.
there's
Again.
not going to be any depth. It's way too complex. But I hope I can give you a set of coordinates that can at least go, okay, I understand how we've been part of making this problem as well, and that's got to also be part of finding the solution.
Yeah.
And
This is
then
true.
we're going to finish up with a more open conversation about what's actually happening today. We've got a couple of recent court cases that we especially want to highlight and talk about.
Yes.
What
Absolutely.
they imply. We also want to talk about what happened with Hoyle. I'm sure we'll talk about Galloway, and
Yeah,
you'll
absolutely.
obviously want to talk about Rishi Sunak, what he said tonight. So
Yeah.
that is the plot.
The plan, the
Any
plot.
questions from the chat?
At
I
the
haven't got
moment,
the
no.
chat.
Other than Time Prophet asking why it took 14 years for Rishi to do something, which is a logical
He's been
question.
working up to it, Time Prophet.
He's
He's been
slowly
working up to it.
building
Yeah.
his way up to it. Well, I mean, there's a simple answer to that. For the last 14 years, it wasn't in their face. For the last 14 years, it didn't stand right inside their face and say, "We're here now." They've been kicking the can down the road for 14 years and pretending this wasn't happening. But now it's in their face. Now they've got no choice. They've got to do something. So that's why it's took so long, in my opinion, in any case, that we got to a stage where they can't ignore it anymore because they're shouting in their face. And that's why
Yes.
things have got to get done. That it's that simple.
Well,
He's also put, he said 14 years.
it's become a political panic, hasn't it?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
and what happened with Hoyle was also a political panic. But
well, this is it.
let's not open that up yet. We'll leave
No,
that
let's go
goodies
for
for
it.
later. Yeah,
Yes,
let's
yes,
let's let's follow our plan. So
yes.
look, I want us all to imagine a hot sun beating down on a scorching desert.
Mm,
I want us to imagine that being our world.
yeah,
And then I want us to think about not just Islam, but Judaism and Christianity and
yeah.
what are called the Abrahamic faiths, because
Hmm.
they're all built on the Prophet Abraham
Yeah,
and everything that came from that, Moses, Ten Commandments, and the Old Testament, and then Jesus, the New Testament, and then Muhammad. So that they aren't they are a linked tradition, and one is built on top of another.
hmm, yeah,
So when you hear of Muslims being anti-Semitic towards Jews, understand that without the foundation of of the Torah, there is no
mm,
Islam.
yeah,
They're intimately connected. So look, this all started in Egypt,
yeah.
and we've got the birth of human civilization,
Hmm.
and we've got this most important thing happens, which is we invent writing.
Yes,
Although actually we didn't invent writing first. We invented emojis first.
yes,
And
we did.
these are pictograms. They're the little
Yes,
pictures, but just tell you what's going on.
yeah.
And if you could read those, you could read ancient Egyptian.
Yep.
So
Very true.
Egypt was the foundation of civilization, which meant it was a foundation of a whole different way of life. It was the foundation of agriculture.
Mm,
And the difference is you're not wandering around with a stick poking lions anymore. Yeah,
no.
you're actually in one place and you're investing your time and your work in one place to grow crops.
Yep.
You settle. And it changed the human perspective on everything because
Mm,
suddenly someone's work had a, a calculatable value.
yeah.
And once someone's work has a calculated value, it becomes worth stealing it off them.
Yeah.
And this was the
Absolutely.
birth of slavery.
Yes.
Slavery under a system which developed a theocratic justification for its existence, which elevated mere men into living gods. And I want
Absolutely.
you to understand this, right? To our modern eyes, if someone says, "Oh yeah, he's a living god," here, whatever, yeah,
Yeah.
but no, they really believed it.
Yep.
They
100%.
believed that God could manifest in a man and make him divine and call him Pharaoh.
Yep.
And this was an empire built on human enslavement.
Hmm.
Now, one of the tribes that was enslaved by these ancient Egyptians is a tribe that we today know as the tribe of Israel.
Yep.
Israel, Isis, Ra, El, the trinity of the Egyptian gods. Interesting, yes?
So yeah, it certainly is.
Now, the Hebrews escaped from the land of Israel, and they then took the innovations and the influences of Israel and developed their own culture and their own language. And this was the foundation of the Torah,
Hmm.
which all of Judaic thought and law and society is rooted in these foundational texts, which were, I'm not even sure exactly how long, but many centuries before the birth of Christ.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in this ancient world, there were other powers. There was Greece.
Yep.
There was Babylon. Damn it, was the Persians,
Yeah. The
and then
Persians. Yep.
later there was Rome.
Yep.
And all of these different groups also had their own ideas about God and religion. And in particular, the Greeks and the Persians had this idea of a son of God
Yeah.
who would be the manifestation of the power of the sun.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the Old Testament contained prophecy that a leader would come to unite and lead the Jews to become a great civilization. So all of this fed together. The Greek, the Greek Mithras, the Roman Sol Invictus, and this became the melting pot of ideas which formed Christianity.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as it went, did Jesus as a person ever exist? Did Jesus exist as some kind of revolutionary, or was Jesus literally born of virgin, son of man, son of God? It doesn't matter, and I don't mind what you believe.
Exactly. Exactly.
But the point is, this was what this became based on, and then 300 years later, the Roman Empire became extremely unstable and threatened to fall.
Yeah.
Environmentalists might be interested to know that the reason Rome fell was they cut down too many trees.
Mm.
And it
knew that.
ended up screwing the entire agricultural system, and they had famine collapses.
Yep.
You'd be surprised how many civilizations had collapsed because they cut down too many trees.
It's very true.
Mhm.
It's very
But
true.
nevertheless, Rome got
Yes.
itself into trouble. The northern barbarians were coming out making hay, and basically the whole lot was going to get sacked.
Yep.
So they needed something to unify the so that they could shore up and save what was left of the Roman Empire, and that therefore they came up with a new state religion. And just by a confluence of events over the 300 years previously, Christianity was suitable to hang their new religion on.
Yep.
And then there was the Council of Nicaea to decide what bits went in and what bit went out, and maybe make it a little bit more mystical and a bit less historical, and Bob's your uncle, New Testament.
Yes, boom.
Yeah. So that then established the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And then you've got two religions, and yes, then you've got, of course, the origin of classic anti-Semitism between Christians and Jews. You dobbed him in, you money grubbing bastards. And that's never ended.
Never ended.
Never ended.
Never ended. Never
because
will.
if you've got two different clubs, you've got to have a reason why you support your club over the other one.
Exactly.
You're shit, we're better.
Yeah.
I mean, who's bigger? And this is sectarianism, of course.
That's sectarianism.
But so I mean, that's how Christianity came into the picture. And then 300 years after that, around about 700 AD, that's where you then get the birth of Islam.
Yeah.
But what makes Islam different is that in Islam, Muhammad is not the son of God.
No.
He is not the son reincarnated. He's not Solar Invictus. He's not Mithras. He's not Ra. He's a bloke who happens to have a chat with an angel.
Yeah.
But blows his brain.
Yep.
And then he goes on a journey and does stuff and ends up founding a great religion. I'm really skipping over what he does.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'd be here all night if we went down into that.
But a key facet of Islam was the defeat of all of the little tribal gods, the small gods, the little gods that different tribes, every tribe had their own god, and they all had their own wonky shrine in Mecca. Yeah. So one of the big achievements of Islam, of the growing religion of Islam, was sweeping all that away, instituting a one god. And that's what is how Mecca became established as the center of Islam.
Yeah.
Now, all well and good, and again, Muhammad didn't get on with the Jews too well, so there was that too. But it's competing groups, it's competing gangs.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And what then happened, which was, inevitable, is that Muhammad died.
Yep.
And with his death, then there became a brutal power struggle for who was actually in charge now.
Yeah.
With his two sons. And half of them back one son, and half of them back the other son.
Yeah.
And that is where you get Sunni and you get Shia, which is still going on today.
Yeah, exactly.
The other key thing to understand is that in the way the New Testament, it's 4 different versions of the same story, the
Yeah.
Gospel. Okay,
Yeah.
and but they are a logical progression from birth to adolescence to manhood to death. So it's a logical narrative. It starts at the beginning and it goes to the end. The
Yeah.
Quran is not like that. It used to be, but
Mm.
when the split happened, they chopped it up and reorganized it. I may not be accurate about this, but I think it's based on what word it starts with.
Right.
So instead of a one clear text beginning to an end, and if you read Muhammad's life like that, there is a lot of genuine spiritual inspiration because it's a story about becoming better than you were. It's a story about rejecting violence
Yeah.
after being violent. You know, there's a lot in the Quran which is spiritually extremely enriching.
Mm.
And some of the enlightened sects of Islam are the most amazing human beings this species has ever.
Mm. Indeed.
And
Indeed.
it's a long history.
Yeah.
And there are times when you could definitely argue that the Islamic world was more advanced than the Christian.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And really, that held true up until the invention of the combustion engine.
Yeah.
You know, once that got going, and that
Yeah.
course brings us into the whole reason why we're in a mess now, because the combustion engine needed oil.
Yes.
Now, at the start of the 20th century, um, Islam was very much, I would say, characterized by the Ottoman Empire, which was
Mm.
the old Persian Empire. Um, there was no Palestinian state, there was no Palestine.
No,
It was part of the Ottoman Empire. The
it was.
Palestinians did not rule it, neither did the Jews.
No.
And, you know, just to make that clear. And,
Yeah.
but then the First World War happened.
Mm.
And a key reason that escalated to the start of the First World War was that the Germans were laying a railway line down to Baghdad.
Yeah.
And that meant oil.
Yep.
And oil meant power. So the First World War started not in Europe. The first shot was fired in the Middle East.
Yep. It was.
So this, but the rest of the world's need for oil has meant that for the last 120 years, the attention of the world has been on getting what they want out of the Middle East,
Yeah. Absolutely.
no matter the cost or consequences.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so after World War One, the Ottoman Empire collapses. The whole empire, the whole region is thrown into chaos. The
Yep.
League of Nations comes in and sets up, you know, to basically French and British Empire to sort out the mess because they won the war, so it's their problem.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
And the British, for our sins,
Yes.
get told to police what is now called, for the first time, regulated Palestine.
Mm. Indeed.
Now, all that means is it was a region carved out on a map.
Yeah.
It wasn't a government, it wasn't a state, it was a region. And what a
Just
region. There was
yes.
fuck all there.
Literally nothing. To be
Yeah,
fair.
you know, really, you wouldn't want to live there. You
No.
know, it is not any kind of paradise. You
No.
know, it was rough as hell, which meant that the only people who could really scratch a living there were the desert tribes.
Indeed.
Now, this brings us to what caused extremist Islam to metastart into
Yeah.
the 20th century. You see, the harder your life is, the less ease and comfort and leisure and pleasure and relaxation there is in your life.
Yeah.
The harder your life has to be to stay alive day after day after day, the harder the rules will be that your society creates.
Yeah.
You see, you can't have somebody take the piss when you're all trying to survive in the middle of the desert. You can't
Nope.
have somebody who won't pull their weight is going to be burned to everybody else. You can't have
Exactly.
somebody who wants to slack off or piss around or just do what they want to do. So discipline is harsh.
Yeah, it has to be. Has to be for survival. It
And
really
that's
does.
how you get harsh religion.
Yeah.
It comes from the desert. I mean, I'm off to see Dune 2 tomorrow.
Indeed.
I'm sure we've got some fans of Frank Herbert in the chat.
I'm sure we have. I'm sure
And
we have.
anyone who's familiar with Dune knows that the Fremen, their religion is described as the Zen Zuni.
Yeah,
Because
it is.
everything in Frank Herbert's vision of Fremen is describing the extremist survival mindset of the tribes that founded these extreme versions of the religion.
Very true.
If
Exactly
you
right.
live where there's some decent agriculture going on, if you live by the coast where there's some fishing going on, your life was so much easier. You had
Yep.
trade with the rest of the world, the Silk Road, spices, silks, all silks.
Silks.
You know? Oh, yeah, you're not wiping your ass on a camel.
No.
So this explains why then the desert tribes of the Saud, which didn't we betray them with Lawrence of Arabia? Oh God.
Oh
We
god, yeah.
really stitched them.
Yeah, we stitched them up big time, didn't we?
But
Our sins.
people who'd had this harsh religious upbringing came together to form the Kingdom of Saud.
Yep.
And after World War II, the most important meeting of the 20th century took place.
You did.
And this was a meeting on the Bitter Lake, which is the saltwater lake, between the King of Saudi Arabia and Eisenhower, President of the United States. Because America had won, America needed to secure its power, meaning America needed to secure its oil. And the country with the greatest reserves of oil in the Middle East is Saudi Arabia.
Indeed.
So America came to the South with a deal. We will buy all your oil and we will pay you US dollars.
Yep.
In exchange, you will ensure that you will not sell oil to anybody else in any other currency than dollars.
Yep.
And what this meant was that if you wanted to buy and sell oil, you had to buy dollars to buy the oil, which inflated the value of the dollar and its ability to be leveraged by a factor of a massive magnitude. This deal with the Saud is the basis of America's entire power in the second half of the 20th century.
Yep.
And very few people to this day actually know it happened.
No, they don't. Because
but there was a caveat. There was a caveat to this deal. We will do all these things, said the Saud, but you will not interfere in any way with our religion.
Yep.
It also meant it created a unique situation where Israel and Saudi Arabia, which did not particularly get along, were both protected allies of the United States.
Yes.
And that created a situation where Israel and Saudi Arabia kind of found it harder to act against each other, while Saudi felt freer to do things that undermined Israel.
Yeah.
And one of the first things they did was spend that oil money creating a vast network of schools to teach Wahhabism,
Yes.
which had not been taught widespread before.
No.
But the American oil money allowed the spread of schools teaching these extremist doctrines.
Yeah.
What then happened was that the schools bred revolutionaries.
Indeed,
And
they
they
did.
went to Jordan and Egypt. They had fun all over the place, plotting revolutions here, there, and everywhere. And all of them failed.
Yep.
And they got arrested and banged in some really pleasant Egyptian prison.
Oh, yes, some very nice places.
And there they would have stayed. But for the fact the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan.
Indeed.
This was in the early 70s.
Yep.
And Afghanistan is a very difficult country to get to, and an even harder country to fight in.
Yep.
And it has a reputation of swallowing armies whole and they're never seen again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to fight a direct war against Russia in Afghanistan was a nightmare scenario that the United States wanted no bloody part of at the time. Thank you very much.
Indeed.
But they needed someone to fight the Russians.
Oh, there had to be someone.
Oh, look at these guys who hate the Russians for invading Afghanistan, these Islamists in these Egyptian jails. Let's set them free. Let's chain them. Let's give them all rocket launchers and let's send them to Afghanistan. This is the birth of the Mujahideen.
Indeed, it was.
Imagine how fucking cool these guys looked, right?
They're
They're doing what the fuck they liked, right? They were fighting the war their own way. They were taking on the power man, and they were taking out helicopters with rocket launchers.
They were having a whale of a time.
Is anyone surprised that they effectively became superstars for that planet?
Of course, they
Who
would
made
do.
that? We made it.
We made it.
We made that.
Yep.
And then we had no plan what to do with it after the Russians bucketed off, and then we start getting plans of their own.
Yes.
Through control of the international heroin market. Oh, there's a bit of money in that.
Oh, just a bit. Just a bit.
People started to see how we are directly responsible for metastasizing extremist Islam throughout the world.
Yeah.
We used them. We created the monster.
We did indeed.
And if you think that's bad, then Iran happened.
Oh, yeah.
Iran used to be a lovely country. Hot chicks in bikinis. Well, not quite. But, you know, it was a modern city. It was a modern, Tehran was a modern city. They were trying to be a modern people.
They did.
But the Shah, nice man, he had some funny ideas. But his country should get a fair price for its oil.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was some Western oil corporations that were not really very happy about this.
Not too sure.
They thought he was piddling in their pond. It was bad enough for Saudis taking the odds, not having these wankers do it to us too.
Yep, no way.
So the Americans had a bright idea. They thought, we're getting on so well with our Islamic Mujahideen mates. Let's get them to run around instead. They'll be much more agreeable to us. They'll never make a deal with the Soviets. They hate their guts. And they'll do whatever deal we want for the oil. So America and Britain, thank you, MI6.
Yes.
Fomented and caused the Islamic Revolution in Iran.
Yep.
I'm surprised Israel even talks to an American politician.
I'm a bit stunned, to be fair. Just, yeah.
When you think about the shit that caused, but would never have happened if the Shah had stayed in power. If you think about the shit that's still causing, if you think about the people dying in Gaza right now.
Yep.
I said it wasn't bad enough that Joe Biden gave the bastards another $150 billion as soon as
he didn't exactly.
Oh, my hands are clean. Yes, Joe, because your son and co want in on that money. So you want the sanctions lifted, Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Joe Biden will betray betray Israel before he leaves office.
Oh, of course he will. You can already see the
You can be
sods.
certain of that. You can take it to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him. They're sowing the seeds right now, aren't they? Let's be honest.
But so that then takes us to the 80s. Then we get the Iran-Iraq war, which was going on through the 80s for 8 years. Where we're funding Saddam now to fight Iraq because it's all getting a bit out of control. And then Saddam's not our mate anymore, and it's Gulf War One to get
Yeah.
control of the Iraqi oil, and then the Iranians have got to cooperate a bit. They don't want the same punishment, and that leads us to the 90s. And then you've got this new jihadi superstar, Mr. Osama bin Laden.
Imagine.
And he's doing these hits. He's doing his jobs in Africa. He's over here. He's over there. He's seeking there. He's thinking you can't find him. He's like a ghost.
Yeah, because
and 9/11.
Yeah, then 9/11. Well, yeah,
and the war, and which I'm just underlining right now. We're not even touching that.
Yeah,
and,
we'll
then
walk around
into
that.
the war on terror, and then 20 years of occupying Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Now, the initial campaign against the Taliban went really, really, really well.
Yeah, of course it did.
Because the Northern Alliance, they were up for it, they were energized, and they had American air support.
Yep.
So they were able to beat the Taliban back, who didn't fancy sticking around to get bombed, and legged it back to northern Pakistan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then a lot of money was spent for 20 years.
A lot of money. A hell of a lot of money.
And none of it worked because the Afghanis never really had a stake in their own country.
No.
But the way that Biden again did that withdrawal by taking away the air support first, meant the Afghan army that had never fought the Taliban without air support and certainly didn't fucking want to, abandoned their posts, and the country collapsed. And now it's a complete Islamist shithole, spewing God knows what problem on top of Iraq.
With lots of new, wonderful, brand new, shiny weapons left lying around for them.
Oh, how many billions? But look, it's because
that's for another time. That's for another time.
But the worst thing of all that the Americans did was abandon Bagram Air Base.
Yeah.
They could have pulled out the country in all other respects and still kept Bagram.
Yeah.
Because Bagram is so important, because without Bagram, you've got no way to project force into that region of the world whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
It's desperate. And now it's in the hands of Chinese.
Excellent.
And their Belt and Road, gobble, 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 gobble.
Of course.
We don't care you hate Jews. We don't care that you should terrorism around the world. Don't mess with China. We do deal.
Yep. Done.
And where does that put us now? Well, I mean, war on terror, we have withdrawal from Afghanistan, absolute disaster. Iraq 2.
Yeah.
Death toll.
Yeah.
And then the aftermath and the rise of the Islamic Caliphate across the desert bit of Iraq and Syria. The death toll.
Horrendous. And it's still going.
And now we have Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, how does that picture come across to you? Questions.
But the thing is, it's as you said. I mean, when I don't think a lot of people realise that if we look back, nearly, in fact, let's be honest, nearly all of this is ours and the Americans' fault. To be fair,
and the French. Oh, don't let the French.
Don't forget the French. Yeah,
and then the Russians.
Oh, and the Russians. Yeah, but
I'm not going to uniquely blame us, but we need to own our own shit here.
Yes, we do. Everybody needs to own their little piece of this. To be fair, it's. I mean, obviously, the first Gulf War, I know personally because I was there. And I know a lot of people who
would be better if we had not invented intelligence agencies. because they've just fucked everything for the last century.
Yeah, what was the old line in the army? Military and intelligence are two words that should never be put
I mean,
together.
what did we hear? What did we hear yesterday from Mr. Scholz in Germany?
Oh well, yeah, nice one.
Which is letting spill to Mr. Putin that Britain and France have forces assisting to fire long-range waters, I think it is, long-range rocket launchers inside Ukraine.
Yeah,
and then an hour later, Mr. Putin is giving his speech to the Federation, his annual speech, and then it's all about nuclear war.
Awesome, thanks, great, lovely.
Well,
Nice.
you know, that was a real winner, lads. Yeah,
Yeah.
we might as well just have been flying air missions visibly overhead, because
Well,
you've just given Putin cast iron legal reason to declare war on NATO.
If he wants to, yeah.
And who made that decision? Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, bravo, bravo, bravo. Well done.
I love it when Rishi gets tough.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how it works out later on.
But I mean, that's just a little reminder. This is not the only absolute crisis we're ever just facing us right now.
Absolutely not.
I did a post yesterday. Fuck Gaza, we've got our own asses to worry about.
Yeah, yeah. Let's be honest.
Which is actually true. Let's have a sense of proportion. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Okay, I'm just going to very briefly divert down this. Look, NATO has got two countries in Europe with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Britain and France.
Yep.
Germany is not one of them.
Nope.
So Germany is going to say, hey, Russia, if you happen to start a war with NATO, all us Germans are going to stay in Germany and stay out of it. That is forfeiting the protection of the NATO nuclear shield.
Yep.
Because if you ain't fighting, we ain't saving.
Exactly.
That's how that works. Otherwise, the alliance would fall apart. You can't have slackers. Right?
No.
But you would only abandon the protection of the NATO nuclear shield if you knew you didn't need it, because you were going to be under the Russian nuclear shield.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to imagine how close we could be to Europe changing so drastically that the frontier of the Russian Federation is with France.
Yeah.
And then where does that leave Poland and all those East European countries trapped between? Oh, shit.
Yep.
One thing about Germans, they've always had an eye on staying in charge.
Yeah, they certainly have.
However the weather vane blows.
Yes, they have indeed.
So, yeah, you know, we've got a whole different set of problems we could be talking about. But let's get back to...
let's go back to this one.
To the issue of Islam, yeah.
One bit of chaos at a time.
Everything I've talked about, the rise of extreme Islam, why it's become such a problem in the world today, at the root of it is oil and politics.
As always.
Yeah. Let's not be shocked.
No, let's not be surprised.
I hope that has helped to give us a sort of foundation of where we're at. We talked about the origin of these religions in relation to each other, and we talked about how extremist Islam has become such a problem in the 20th century.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Britain today.
Yes. Here we go.
Where do we start? Oh, great.
Jesus,
Where do we start?
Where do we start? It's talk about being in a mess, and that's an understatement. I'm using polite words there.
We are in the aftermath. I mean, look, it's very simple. You could say when everything started to go wrong, it was called May 1997.
Right.
The election of New Labour.
Yep.
In terms of immigration and the cultural makeup of this country.
Yep.
It has changed up until that point, up until the late part of the 1990s. Yes, there had been immigration, but culturally, Britain had developed in one consistent culture.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And when Tony Blair took office, it was a celebration of Britishness and British culture. There were Union Jacks flying all over the place. There wasn't any being shy about the Union Jack back then. He was draped in it, was Blair.
Absolutely
and
was.
Cool Britannia, man.
Yeah,
you
good old
know.
cool Britannia.
And here's all the cool bands. Here's Oasis. Here's Blur. You know, they're meeting
Yeah.
Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that.
No more than about 10,000 a year will come, Mason.
Yeah, right.
And
They open
then
the doors.
we have the admission from Jack Straw. But the
Yep,
Labour Party sent out search parties around the world to find people to come here.
yep.
And the reason that Straw gave, it wasn't for the economy.
Nope,
It wasn't so we had people to wipe people's bottoms.
nope.
It was to mess with the right.
Yep, 100%. That's why they were
Please
brought.
never forget this. Mass immigration was a political act. It was a political weapon. And
100%.
it has been deployed against this country ruthlessly
Absolutely.
for the last
Absolutely.
25 years now, 26 years, quarter of a
25, 26
century,
years. Yep,
quarter of a century. And this is what you get when you have quarter of a century of not knowing who's coming in here, not knowing why, and giving away the ability to get rid of them.
and that's the big problem.
It's not that deportations don't happen. Actually,
No,
we
they
have a
do.
reasonably large number of deportations, but we can only deport the people who came here legally.
Yeah, that's the thing, innit?
Which is the problem because we're filling up with all the people nobody else wants.
Yep. And we can't get rid of them as easily. It's
Well, when you've got people which are going to ditch their paperwork,
as
and
they go.
as they're crossing the channel, because they don't want to be known for who they are, they don't want the truth of their situation to be established because they're on a blag.
Yeah,
There's no other reason to do the paperwork.
yeah. I
If
mean,
you've got a genuine case of asylum, being able to prove your identity makes it a slam dunk. I
oh
am
yeah,
this man who's been persecuted.
exactly. Here's my proof. So why are we lobbing it over? I mean, one of the other streams, Time Profit did actually say it's amazing the amount of fish are dying from eating passports in the channel because there's that many.
I don't know if that's true, but
It wouldn't surprise me.
But you've also got this vast network of criminal gangs in
Yep,
cahoots with governments and non-government organisations,
yep,
especially in the last 10 years, who've gone
absolutely.
hell bent to not just boost, but to really pump those numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
And
And now
you
we've
know,
seen it.
when it comes to political left, they're so riddled with this guilt consciousness where they just seem to think we just deserve to pay out more and more treasure. Who cares if we go bankrupt? Money's not real anyway, it's all made up. Yeah, try eating that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You try doing that.
Try eating that.
It's
So,
just,
you know, this political frenzy and political craziness has only exacerbated.
yeah,
And, you know, then we've got the problem with cultural integration.
or lack of.
Well, when you bring a certain amount of people in, nobody even notices.
No, of course
Not
they don't.
really. There's
Not really.
there aren't any social disruptions. There aren't any particularly social disruptive behaviours that stand out. You know, so you don't have mass organised grooming gangs. You know, so when you've got controlled immigration for people that you know who they are, you've got a reasonably good chance of building an integration into your society.
Exactly. And that's how it was working. I
But
did
when
say
you
was.
abandon that, you get
Yep.
ghetto areas where
Yeah.
birds of a feather just stick together and
Yeah.
the system doesn't work for any of them and there's no way out and they don't give a crap.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I think one of the most disturbing things that I've seen in Vox Pops and other things, what's the chap's name? Darius, how is it? Do you know
Oh,
the guy I mean?
yeah. I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a black presenter.
Yeah.
And he went round talking to Muslim kids, you know, sort of standing around on the street outside the kebab shop or whatever, in lots of different places. And what he found was a virulent tribalism.
Oh God, yeah,
It doesn't
absolutely.
surprise me. I mean, it's no different to we all grew up on this council estate.
Yeah, yeah,
We all grew up in this tower block.
yeah,
You know, humans do this. It's a protection thing. You stick to people who you know are most like you.
yeah,
But when you get people who are third or fourth generation migrants, and not just that they were born here, their parents were born here, even their parents were born here,
yeah,
but they feel like that. They
yeah,
are that isolated. They are looking to Pakistan as their example for everything, not England.
yeah,
And after all of those decades, they have no horizon. We grew up on these streets. This is our streets. This is what I'll know equals I'll die on these streets.
yeah,
Just the same as the old impoverished street gangs of London. You
yeah.
know, used to run the East End. But it's no different to Edwardian times, Elizabethan or Victorian times.
Yeah,
It breeds that same isolated culture within culture, but in a much worse scale.
a lot worse. A lot worse.
And also exacerbated because if anything goes wrong anywhere in the world, everyone's all up in arms about it.
Yep. As we're seeing right now. As we're
So
seeing right now.
what has caused that is deeply disturbing to me, Robbie.
Yeah. I think it's deeply
Because if
disturbing.
we're losing the third and fourth generation migrants, then integration is not working at all.
No, it's not worked one bit.
So to solve this, it's not going to be enough just to blast and protest off the streets with water cannons.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not going to solve
It's not enough.
anything
No.
apart from a spin bite for the news.
Yeah.
You know, we've really got to get into the structural issues, and we've really got to take integration seriously. And then it's a question of what are we integrating with?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I talked a little bit about the spiritual and political history of Islam,
Yeah.
but we should talk a little bit about the spiritual and political history of Britain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because we need to understand who we are.
Yes, we do.
And do you know what? Especially anybody currently at university age, I don't see much evidence that they know.
No, because it's not taught.
Like, when it comes to racism, for example, nobody invented racism like we fucking invented racism. We can find a racism, the merest difference in pigmentation between one white person and another.
Yeah.
The merest hint of excessive gingeriness, and you're
Yeah.
for a chop.
Yeah, absolutely.
We butchered each other
Yeah, we did.
over tribal differences for centuries.
Yeah, we certainly
And then
did.
we got good at it. Then we got clever at it. Then we
Yeah.
created a foundation for institutionalized religion that allowed us to have this idea called monarchy.
Yes.
Because you can't have a king without a god to give him the right to be king.
Exactly.
So whenever you have monarchy, you have theocracy because the one stands on top of the other.
Yep.
And then we had the War of the Roses.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
Centuries of screwing each other over whether we allied with the red rose or the white rose. And if you weren't lucky and the political wind blew overnight, your entire fucking family got slaughtered.
Yes.
Yeah. And then if you complained about it, right, if you became an agitator, if you became a pain in the ass, we had punishment that would make a modern jihadi fucking,
Ooh.
I don't know, they'd have to go and have therapy because they were too extreme.
Oh God, yeah, they were vicious.
We had hung, drawn, and quartered.
Yep.
That's where you'd be hung till you're almost dead,
Not
let
quite.
down, right? Then you'd have your gut sliced open, yeah, and all your entrails pulled out, yeah, and then we stick wild horses on each of your limbs and drive them and tear your body apart and then drag with mangled quarters around the streets as a warning.
There they are. That's how you do it.
This is what you get if you piss off power.
It's true. It's
This
true.
is the barbarity, the brutality that we lived in.
Yep.
Never
Absolutely
knowing
right.
whether you were safe, if you were going to live to the end of that day.
Yep.
Because of a made-up man in the sky who no one's
Yep.
ever seen.
This is it.
So nobody could tell us anything about going off the deep end.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
But we are more than this.
Indeed, we are.
We are more than this because we evolved.
Yes, we left that behind.
And,
We
you
left
know,
it behind.
it was a bit experimental.
Yes.
It had its ups and downs.
Yeah, a bit of a
Yeah,
roller coaster.
We had a
Bit of a roller-
civil war, which didn't quite solve the thing, so we let the Scottish guys have a go again.
Yeah, why not? You know,
It wasn't perfect, but then the Scottish guys kind of died out without an heir.
yeah, this is the problem. So that,
And so we had to get somebody else in to do the job. So,
Yeah.
and then the Germans came over and said, give
Oh,
it
yes.
to us, or we'll use our mercenary army. And we said, if you fuck around with that army, you get nothing. But if you sit down now and make a deal, we're prepared to hammer something out.
Yep.
And that was the birth of our modern society. That
It
was
was.
a glorious revolution. That was where we said, we have rights and you will respect them. And you can't just put us in jail and make us suffer arbitrary punishments, you royal knobhead.
Yes.
We started to get somewhere.
Yeah, we began to evolve. We began to move
started
forward.
to get somewhere. And, you know, it wasn't perfect. And, you know,
No.
I mean, racism breeds classism are one of the two same things.
Yeah.
When my ancestors were press ganged into the army and the navy and sent off to bloody hot places. Yeah,
Very hot place.
my great grandfather Charlie White. Yeah, he didn't hate the Zulus.
No.
They were just blokes, right? Same
Yep.
as him. But
Yep.
he was there and they were there and things had just got that way. So that's how it kind of went. You know,
Yep.
because that's what you had to do. Because whatever choice did you have, it wasn't no deserting.
Well, no.
So, you know, if people are going to complain about what Britain did around the world, well, you know, look, everybody else with technology to do it was also doing it.
Exactly.
It was a phase, yeah.
Yeah.
And we
was.
didn't do anything to anybody, but we hadn't already done to ourselves.
Which is very, very true. Very, very
But
true.
we still evolved.
We still move forward.
And with the slaughter of World War I, we evolved further.
Yep.
And when our leaders screwed it up again, and we had the slaughter of World War II, we
Yep.
finally hammered out the deal for a modern goddamn society. And we've had it since 1945, and it's 2024, and we won't keep it if we don't start to care for it.
Exactly.
That's
And
what
that's
we're really
the thing.
talking about, people.
Yeah.
When you
That's
can
where
really
it
say this is how the modern Britain I want to be part of. It's 8 decades old.
Yep. It
And
is.
it's been getting screwed with for the last 2 of those.
Yeah. Right, royally screwed
So
over those
we've
two.
got a long way to go.
We really have. We really have.
But what bothers me most about it is I was talking about how upsetting I find it. We've got 3rd, 4th generation Muslim Britain who's feeling so alienated. Because I know plenty of Muslim people. I've worked with so many Muslims. I've been on university degree courses with Muslims. You know, I've enjoyed the hospitality of Muslims. I've had so many positive experiences with people who are Muslim.
Yeah.
But if they feel that no matter how hard they try, because of the way that the Islamic extremists are grabbing all the attention, and because of the way that's breeding naturally understandable but still very problematic fear and suspicion of
Yeah.
what the role of Islam in British society is going to be,
Yeah.
I worry where it puts the people who are caught in the middle.
Right bang in the middle of it all. And
And
it is a worry. It is a worry.
I'm feeling pulled in two ways. I'm not surprised that being in that situation makes people pull back
Yeah.
rather than engage to protect themselves rather than speak out.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
But we'll never be able to have a situation where Islam is in balance with all the other ideologies and faiths that make up Britain unless we can tackle that. Because
Exactly.
everybody has to feel like they have an equal part in this society.
Exactly right.
We achieved it for the English, for Welsh, for French, for Irish, Scots, for Picts, for Cornish. We can do it for the Muslims too. But we've got to have that as something that we're clearly trying to achieve. We've got to put resource into it. We've got to take it seriously. And of course, we're a long way from hearing this from the politicians.
And I don't think we'll hear it from the politicians for
You see,
a long time. Sadly.
how does somebody become extreme? How does somebody become prejudiced? You know, if I sort of know somebody and they borrow some money off, I mean, it's bad. I get a cock and bull story. Maybe if I was really soft and got round me again, I'd lend some more money, but did the same thing again. You know, am I going to go? I trust you with money again.
No.
It's that thing where, or trust you with protecting my child, or whatever else it might be. Once somebody fucks up, confidence and faith in them is diminished, and nobody can have so many knocks in their confidence in somebody without them going to the point. That's it. I'm done with that person. I don't want to know anything else about him. I've nothing to do with it. He's just
Absolutely
trouble.
right.
He's just trouble. I don't want to know.
Exactly.
The thing is, when we do that for an individual, that's kind of a sensible choice. You know, that person's not well behaved. I don't want them in. I don't want them around me. I don't want them in my life.
Exactly.
You know, I don't want anything to do with it. But when we start to do it for people in groups, we risk that we are the ones who are not balanced. Because if we turn away from seeing any good, we'll only see all the bad.
Yep, that is true.
And that's exactly how we've got these young people who've been brought up in a Muslim identity who've got this total loathing of Jews.
Yep.
It's not that they've experienced personal experiences with Jews that are negative. It's a stereotype against them as a group, and then it becomes a group reaction to just throw those people away. They're no good. We don't want to know about them. We've got nothing to do with them. And of course, it works the other way. You know, with how Israeli people are going to feel about people in Gaza. We've given them so many chances. They keep on attacking us. They keep on bombing us. They keep on planning terrorist attacks. We've had enough.
Yep, which is understandable.
And it's just the same inside this country.
Yep.
And we've also got to realise that Islam is not one homogenous group. I mean, I've been talking about how Wahhabism and Salafism was small and then became big because we had this role in magnifying it and making it, frankly, look cool and empowering.
Exactly.
But you've got so many different philosophies of Islam. And one of the things to understand is that it's not like Christianity. It doesn't have a central authority.
No. Right,
I mean, obviously, Christianity split and Protestantism split.
Oh, yeah.
For 1,000 years, it was one authority.
And that was it.
The papal authority.
Yep.
And what he said was how it was.
Yep. That's right.
But Islam has never had that.
No.
Instead, it's a whole bunch of texts which are public access.
Yep.
And you can have a think about them, and you can come up with what you reckon it's all about. And if what if people are interested in what you say and think you might be onto something, you become Imam.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not. I've been to preschool and I've passed the exams. It's people are accepting me as a spiritual teacher, therefore I
Yeah,
become one.
there you go.
Which means that spiritually, inside Islam is an incredible democracy of perspectives on the faith itself.
Yep, different
They
versions.
are not a unified clod.
No, they're not.
But if we sweep them all with a brush together, we make
They will be.
them into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the same as people who've been brainwashed into leftism at the moment see the
Yep,
Tory party or Tories as one horrible cult of evil people.
true. Absolutely true.
Yeah, or dear, I mean, this is how intolerance works. It's
Yeah,
when we will no longer stand to hear it anymore and give
yep,
up on being prepared to listen. And this
yeah,
is how peace works when you get people to listen to each other.
yeah,
So you
exactly.
got to choose. What do you want? Do you want warful? Do you want war or do you want peace?
Well, yeah,
Because if you want peace, you need to challenge yourself not to behave in a way which is just going to create the circumstances for conflict and division.
yeah, it's true.
There's a
Difficult
lot more
times.
to this, you know. I mean, we need
Oh god,
leadership.
yeah.
We need leadership from the
Yes, we
top.
do. We do. And that's what's sorely lacking. And that is what's sorely lacking, and that's why it's causing what's happening because there is no one, there's no leader, there's no unifying voice, there's no direction. And when you do that, as I was talking on a live stream we did yesterday, it leaves a vacuum, and people fill vacuums, and it doesn't always work out right. And we need some clear direction. And I do feel, as I've said on some other videos, I do feel like we're being pushed in a certain direction, and it's a direction I don't want to be pushed in because I know where it ends, and it never ends well.
Well, you've
Because
seen other
I've
parts
seen
of
it,
the world, haven't you, Johnny?
yeah, I've seen what happens when
Yeah.
it degrades down to that now it becomes no option, and every time it becomes no option, it's never been pretty. And if you've seen it up close and personal, you
When
really don't want.
when sectarianism takes hold, it's
Oh,
like being at war all the time.
it is, and there'll be casualties, and it will be bloody, and it will be horrible, and it'll be terrifying. And I mean, as I've said before, I don't want to go down this route, but and the only reason we can probably stop going down this route if people start actually talking about it and actually raising issues and trying to talk, because we don't want to go down this path. We don't let's come on. I mean, I know there'll be some people who do, but I don't want a civil war. Why would I want that?
You've got to be mad.
Yes, you've
You
got to be
have
insane.
I mean, you could. Someone can be that mad, but you've got to be mad to want this to break into any kind of conflict.
Yeah, because look, you just take. I mean, this is why a lot of veterans get upset because we know what it's like when you give us that option's taken away and it degrades to a fight. It's never pretty, and why would you want that? And it serves nothing because
But here's the other thing, Bob. You can't
go
just
on.
You can't just wish a problem away.
No, you've got to
You
you've got
know,
to face it.
it's
Yeah.
very easy to go, oh, kick them all out. Have you got any idea what the hell that would be to even try that?
Well, it's not just
I'm
that.
not
I
saying
mean,
it's impossible,
no, it's. I mean, it's
but we would
possible.
have to change as a society to become something extremely ugly to be able to do it.
I mean, this is what I was talking to on the culture council last night. The problem is we want balance, but we have to be so careful that it doesn't swing all the way to the opposite side, which we don't want either. And this is the problem because
And
it could,
neither do the authorities.
no, because let's be
And
honest,
they're right not
they're in
to.
trouble. Yeah, of course,
And
because they see it, but if they don't, I mean, I know Richie said something.
I don't consider it trivial when the
No,
authorities talk about white supremacist extremism.
Yeah,
I don't consider it trivial
because
at
it's
all.
there. It
I
is
don't
there.
want anybody planning killings or
No,
bombings
no,
or spreading hate. I don't want anybody doing that. So it doesn't help me, doesn't help my family, doesn't help their safety, doesn't help
doesn't help
our
anyone.
future. Yeah.
It doesn't help
Um,
anyone. Doesn't help us all at all. And let's not, people, let's not be kidding ourselves when we all go, oh yeah, whites. There are white supremacists. There are very, very
well,
nasty
of course,
people.
I have been accused multiple times by very stupid people of being a white supremacist.
Oh, and so much so. And so and and to be fair, Weiss just standing up and speaking out like I have. I've
The
been called everything.
absolute pygmies is what I say to that. But
Yeah, but it's true because you automatically become that. Now,
but
the
that doesn't
difference
mean I
is
haven't talked to white supremacists. It
no,
doesn't
of
mean I
course
don't
not.
understand them.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I've made an effort in life to understand where a lot of different people are coming from,
We need to.
in order to understand them.
Yes, exactly.
And
And,
I mean,
that's
overwhelmingly, it's this overload, this cultural overload becomes toxic, and someone can't take it anymore,
yeah,
and they turn away, they turn into extremism.
yeah,
But as far as a threat to our society goes, we haven't got mass mobilizations of organized white supremacists taking over the street.
no, we really
That's
have.
that's the Islamists and the Islamist adjacent supervisors who've been somewhat misled by propaganda, to
Yeah,
say the
and they're
least.
the ones who are doing it.
Plus the nutty left wingers. That's kind of this Marxist Islamist alliance which is currently taking over the streets of the capital. It's not white supremacists. But where white supremacists are dangerous is in internet cancer,
Yes, absolutely.
because it's a bit of an internet loners only club.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Lots of people who are isolated from each other geographically, but who
Yeah,
get bound into sharing a set of ideals, become a set of prejudices, that then becomes an individual call to action. And that's where we have had repeated foiled right wing plots.
yeah, absolutely.
Not going to
That's
pretend it doesn't go on.
yeah,
Just because these are people that I would have nothing what the hell to do with doesn't mean I don't see them.
yes, exactly. And we have to see them, and we have to acknowledge that they
And
exist.
it's very similar to the incel culture. Do you remember that
Yes.
kid who went nuts blasting that gun because he was frustrated that he was sexually unlovable, or whatever what kid was in Plymouth?
Oh, I know, yeah.
But it's exactly the same thing. It's just like different versions of the same software. That is,
It is, absolutely.
it's a very isolated world to be a racist.
Yeah, it is.
Sad. It's a sad way to
It
be.
is. It is. It
It's
is.
sad to be so
Really is.
limited.
Yeah,
But it depends on whether we're interested in solving a problem or simply punishing
yeah. Yeah.
it. Should we look at that news article?
Which one would you like first?
Should we start with the white supremacist one, Mr. Samuel Miller?
Yeah, just hold on a second. Hold on. Oh, go away. I don't want that. Let's just share the old screen, and there we go. And let's just get there we go. So here
So
we
this
go.
is in the news today.
It is.
Samuel Miller from Leeds, Pudsey white supremacist with Nazi tendencies, jailed after sticker campaign.
Yeah.
Scroll it down a bit, probably.
Scroll down, get rid of that.
So he's got a 2-year sentence from Leeds Crown Court. 34 years old, convicted of running an online library of downloadable white supremacist stickers.
Yeah.
Now, some people look at this and go, "Why is this guy? Oh yeah, whatever. Why is this guy getting 2 years? What? Other people are getting let off with their Islamists." I mean, I've been looking at these comments online today.
Of course.
It's only stickers.
Mm,
And I have to admit, I'm quite disappointed in GB News.
well, yeah.
Because I am often disappointed in GB News. But
Yeah,
because
exactly. Yeah.
they have presented this as a free speech issue,
No, it's not.
I'm gonna put my boot through that. This is not a free speech issue. Right.
No,
We
it really
have
isn't.
I mentioned the Glorious Revolution. The Glorious
Yeah,
Revolution created our modern common law rights, right?
yeah,
That includes the right to speak.
yep,
So, yes, you have the right to speak. You could say something beautiful. You could say something poetic. You could say something inspirational. You could say something divine, or you could talk absolute dog shit. You're
yep,
free to do any of that.
yep. Talk how you
But
want,
if
but
you talk lies that
yep,
cause harm,
yep,
that has always been a crime.
yep,
Free speech is only lawful while the speech is lawful speech. If you
yeah,
call for harm or loss against any other person, you are not protected by your right to free speech. You are in the process of hurting somebody else, and that is a crime.
yep,
That's what this guy did.
yeah. It's exactly what
You
it is.
know, yeah. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know how many of these stickers there were, probably
it doesn't say.
hundreds. Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
it
and
didn't
it,
say.
it, it barely mentions what they say. Some of them clearly are more explicitly racist than others. You know,
Yeah,
like I would say a sticker, it's okay to be white, isn't racist
nope. It's
unless
statements.
you're using it to put it in somebody else's face.
Mm, indeed.
And there's a minor difference that would come up with the adjudication of the trial and the jury. But
Yeah,
even if that's his more inoculate ones, but some of these are just vile. He's an anti-Semite. If you go down a bit more, the judge mentions about him, Adolf Hitler's his poster boy.
yeah,
Edward Mosley is his go to bed. The man he wants to go to bed with. This
yeah.
this is how much this guy is wrapped up in this.
Oh,
So
yeah.
white extremism exists, and we don't want this getting organised.
No, but this is
You
the thing
know,
we don't want.
as
Mm,
much as some people think they do want it, you don't.
you really don't, because when he goes that far,
Same as some people think they do want forced mass deportation. You don't.
no, because once they get it, I mean, how far are you gonna go? Who are we gonna
We
deport
need
next?
to unite against our shared values and our common laws.
Yes, that's what we want.
Britain works where ideology and religion is a private matter.
Yes,
We keep it behind
absolutely.
closed doors, or we keep it discreet and we go and do these things in places inside the community that do not upset others.
Yeah,
Like we go to
exactly.
church
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you want to explore your religious life, your spiritual life. That's how you express it. But
Yep,
otherwise, we all get along and muck along. We muck along to get along, and we all
yep,
agree to an electoral system where we vote people to represent us and to represent our views, where we agree that the balance of that debate and the votes accordingly will be how things are settled and decided and what will happen. And we
yep,
agree that we're all going to consent to be bound by that and to be bound by that common set of laws. Without it, there is no Britain.
exactly. And everything disappears.
All you got is little fiefdoms, and which become turning on themselves and become more
Yeah.
and more corrupt. And before you know it, you're in a third world country.
Yep. And that's what we don't want.
You know,
That's what we don't want.
a nation is an enormously powerful thing
It is indeed.
because, above all else, a nation is a notion.
Yes.
A nation is a shared idea.
Yeah.
And a nation can exist as long as its inhabitants will share that shared idea.
Exactly.
And that is what has become so incredibly weakened by diversity without assimilation.
Exactly. Absolutely right. Spot on.
So look, I mean, we give up on the Conservative Party actually doing something, and we know it's going to be very difficult to keep Labour out of office. So
Oh, well,
things
yeah.
are unfortunately almost certain to get worse before they get better.
Yeah.
But
It
you
is going
know,
to get darker
it's
before it.
not as if the things that should be done are a mystery.
No, they
You
are.
know,
They are to be done.
having a secure border, knowing who is coming in and who is going out, knowing
Is it
if they're criminal, it's essential, because
it's
if
logical.
you don't have a border, you don't have a nation.
Exactly.
You just have a
Exactly.
place that people are coming through and using on their way through.
Yeah, and doing
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And we've allowed trendy ideas to weaken how much we've understood that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I asked you to we looked at that article about the White Wing guy, didn't we?
Yes.
Can we look at
Yeah.
the next one?
Yes, we can, which is
Because
just bringing it up now. And there we go. So there we go. Our left
I
wing
mean,
anarchist.
the Miller case just came up today, so we thought, look,
Yeah.
why not show it? But
It needs
this
to be there.
was from last week.
Yeah.
Jacob Graham, 20 years old,
20 years
has
old.
made 138 videos demonstrating making explosives in his home.
Talk about Judgment Day. Look at him.
Yeah, he's got that machete. I don't know why he's got that machete, because his videos were about bomb making, but here he is.
Yeah, well,
Jacob is very keen on the Green Party. And he also supports Just Stop Oil.
Well, there's a surprise.
So he believes that our governments are creating genocidal destruction of the environment.
Right, okay.
On top of which, free Palestine.
Well, yeah, because one
As
add
you'd
that,
expect.
add that to the profile. Yeah.
This is a self-radicalized far leftist.
Yeah.
Just the same as the self-radicalized far rightist we've just been looking at.
Exactly.
This is also what is being bred through the left wing and their contempt for democracy.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Complete contempt.
Because once you decide that democracy has no value, once you decide you hold democracy in contempt, then it becomes about force.
Yeah.
Look at that. He had all the computer files necessary to make a 3D printed assault rifle.
Yep. He was he idolized Theodore Kaczynski, of course, which was the Unabomber.
Another left-wing nutter.
Another left-wing idiot. Yeah. So he's got all the other bits of pipe bombs and all the stuff they found.
Exhibit A, Exhibit B, a dash of this to stand well back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So basically,
Hold on a sec, Dobby. Up a sec. Here. He was motivated by hatred of government, which he saw as oppressing working class people, and developed ecological concerns about pollution, destruction of forests. And look, I did mention earlier you got to watch for the destruction of forests. So,
yeah, go watch them forests.
But just because he got a point doesn't mean his behaviour was acceptable.
No, it's not acceptable.
Wearing a t-shirt and glasses, he said at one point, "I've got everything I need to start my revolution."
Including his glasses and his t-shirt. Very important.
This guy gets sentenced in a month or so. He isn't going to get 2 years.
He's going to get a little bit longer than that.
Substantially more. I would think this would be a 10 to 20 stretch.
Yeah. I mean, he got a bow and everything. Look, in his room, he's got a bow and
crossbow there. Yeah. But I mean, let's put it. I mean, some people might say put it in proportion. Stickers, bombs, but the law already has.
Yeah.
That's
there's
what's called the length of your sentence. It's a crime both ways.
I mean, he got his firearm there.
Police found an array of items designed to cause harm.
I mean, the thing is, the fact that's a BB gun is beside the point. But to be fair, if you didn't know what a BB gun looked like, if someone shoved that in your face, you'd wet yourself. But you got all the shrapnel up, got all this stuff. There's his bow with his arrows.
He do some serious damage to that compound, though.
This would be a lot more dangerous than that. But
Yeah, yeah, it
so,
would.
I mean, live with his mother's sister and sister's boyfriend. Huh.
Which is
Oh, and
you know,
look, downloaded the Mujahideen handbook. There you go. Oh, dear me.
and the White Resistance Manual. So that's
Yes,
Antifa.
Antifa, indeed. And there's his 3D printer that he was going to build his assault rifle with.
Terrible
Yes.
abuse of a scenery making machine.
Yes, I mean, there's far, far better things to make with a 3D printer, so
Much better thing.
as you well know, sir.
I do.
So, yeah, so there's the old, there's left. Oh, stop sharing
Graham
that.
told his child. Oh, sorry, guys. Just read it.
No,
Last
I'll
bit.
bring it
I
back up.
just looked
I'll
at
bring it
last
back up.
paragraph. Just caught my eye. That's all I read.
Yeah, I'm bringing it back up. Don't worry, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. There we go. There we go. The last paragraph.
Where was he? He felt like James Bond or something. What he said, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
It's Graham
He
told his
felt like a character in a James Bond or Mission Impossible film.
or The Last of
Or
Us.
The Last of Us.
Interesting combination there.
Video woke game.
Yes. And TV show. Yeah. So,
Well, people say
which
so.
was
I'm
actually,
not gonna watch it, but
oh, yeah.
this is the level of self-delusion
Yep.
that these people get into. And then they feel justified to plot and carry out these extreme things. But no different than that guy who put a knife in David Amos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hold on.
But
The next one.
yeah,
The next one you're gonna have to do in a second.
We'll definitely
Yeah,
be talking about tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to do the next one, but I've got to go a different way because it wants me to subscribe. So give me a couple of seconds to.
Oh, don't do that.
I'm not going to do that. Use my other one.
While Gobby's looking for the next one, I just put to chat. I want to know if we got more feedback from chat. Does anybody really disagree with what I said? Anyone think I'm really wrong? You know, anyone got any opinions? Please feel free to speak out. There's no right and wrong here. Well, maybe.
Yeah. Oh God, this and the thing isn't loading. How typical.
Well,
I'll have one more go. We'll carry on. But yeah, so.
Well, it was a Daily Fail article, Gobby.
Yes,
so,
I know.
You can't expect success.
No, it desperately wanted me to subscribe, and there's no way I'm subscribing to that. Never in a month of Sundays. But I will try one more time.
Recently, Daily Mail must have sabotaged their reach quite considerably because they're messing about this M+ rubbish where you can't just half the articles you can't read anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's
it was an open article earlier, so I'm surprised if we closed.
Yeah, it's come up to me. It's because I'm on Opera, and because Opera won't allow me to run adverts. It really annoys them, which is why I'm having
because I also got an ad blocker.
Yeah, and it doesn't like it. Let's pop it on and see what it says. Yeah, it says allow. It says allow ads on our site. So yeah, let's see if I can do it. See if it'll come up. No, it's not going to let me. It keeps trying to stop me from saying anything. Unfortunately,
it's all right. We could just talk about it anyway. Because, everybody knows because I'm sure as the call went out, every citizen loyally marched to their television set straight away so they could fully absorb the important words of our Prime Minister.
Yes, indeed. Hold on a second. I might have got it a different way. Here we go. Unfortunately, we can get it up, but I do apologise most succinctly because it will be from the BBC.
Okay.
I know, but we need to.
We can take it, Gobby. We can take it.
There we go. There we go. There we go. We have a way of bringing it down.
Right. We must face down extremists undermining society, democracy, says Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
Look, this is really quite unprecedented.
Yeah.
And Sunak is not the sort of conservative politician who would have been dragged to this statement at all easily.
No.
This is not where Sunak leads from politically.
No.
Right. He's not Suella Braverman. He's not Priti Patel. He's not Kemi Badenoch.
No.
You know, he's Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think of Sunak as the office administrator.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he is, to be fair.
Since he was parachuted in as Prime Minister, denying a vote to the Conservative membership.
Yep.
I have seen nothing
No,
that I recognised as leadership
no,
from
none.
Rishi Sunak. And I don't think he's got a hope in hell of being elected.
Oh no, no,
But,
no way.
but and yeah, Sunak is indeed. But I mean, those were mostly legal immigrants from India.
Yep.
But it turned out that 80% of the people who came were dependents.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, they didn't get down very well either.
Well, look, Hindus aren't causing trouble. I've got no problem with more Hindus.
Oh no. All
You know?
Sikhs. Yeah, they're not causing
all
us any
Sikhs,
trouble.
Sikhs are truly an awesome people. Oh,
Yeah, they
I
are
do
very
really
nice.
love
I've got a
them.
many
It's so
Sikh friends.
generous. Such a
Oh, they are.
generous
Yeah,
culture.
they are.
So no problem with that. But
Normally.
the numbers, and also the sheer let's leave the back door open and assume that people won't just pile through it in vast numbers.
Of course.
So was that Sunak playing one for the home team? I mean, of course, people will call it racist to even think it, wouldn't they?
Well, yes, indeed
Is
they
it
would.
possible that Rishi Sunak has a preference in what kind of people make the more suitable migrants?
Well, yes, it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Mm.
To be fair, yes,
So,
things that make me go,
we've had that. Thank you, Rishi.
Yes, yes,
But now he's going to get tough.
yes. Apparently,
Now,
well,
Bobby,
no ask.
I suspect you know quite a bit more about the details of policing than I do.
Yes, yes.
But
Mm.
how would you look at the prospect of quotation marks getting tough with crowds like we've seen in London for the last 5 months?
Well, there was once when Lawrence Fox was walking down, and when the protest was a while ago, and he was talking to some officers, and a senior commander actually, for once in his life, spoke the truth, and this is the truth. They're not going to do anything because they're massively outnumbered.
Yeah.
We've weakened our police to such a level now that they just can't
I
cope.
want us to just look at this on a level of physical practicals to it, right?
Yeah,
And what you need to do to be able to push a crowd back with baton charges.
yeah,
And the level of brutality which is necessary to achieve that. We're
yeah,
talking French and Italian police levels of fuck you,
yeah.
which
Of
I don't
course,
think we've ever really seen in this country. The
well, the
police have
last
never
time,
been that unrestrained. Even I would say, even with a minor strike, doesn't match how the police in France beat
oh
people
no,
on a regular.
I mean, if you're going to go down the level of police strong arm tactics,
So
the French
are
especially.
we prepared to have London hospitals filled with hundreds of casualties?
But this is the thing. I mean, he's
And
saying,
how that will play in the press and the media.
oh,
Yeah.
it's
And
again. You see,
or we could use water cannons.
what
We
water
could
cannons?
blast them off the street. Oh, hang on. Boris
Yeah,
Johnson brought water cannons. Sadiq Khan sold the water cannon.
yeah. Because exactly what water cannons we
So
we
we
don't have.
can't just use water cannons to blast them off their feet and
No,
break them up
because
and force them back. We
no,
can't put pepper spray in that to irritate them so that they don't come back.
no.
And we can't put a UV tag in that so that they can all get sprayed with the UV tag and then get
So we
picked
know
up
who
as
they
they
are.
go from the train station and the bus station on their way home.
Yeah,
And then arrest the people who've been sprayed and then bring them in and then match them to the footage from all the CCTV and then get individual charges.
and then don't forget that public
Think,
order
think
training
about
is.
think about the commitment of the manpower and the willingness to keep doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's tough.
I
It's tough.
don't believe Rishi Sunak has the slightest idea of the kind of political guts it's going to take him to carry this out and carry this through week after week after week.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. I mean, him just saying, "Oh, we're going to get tough. We're going to do this. We're going to do that."
Plus, those who are extremists amongst protesters must be absolutely delighted.
Oh, they'll be screaming. They'll be
This
rubbing
is
their hands at this.
absolutely what they want.
Of course they do. They want a
There's
bloodbath.
nothing they want more than for idiot leftists who really haven't got a fucking clue what's what to get a
No.
damn good kicking.
Yep.
And they will exploit that to the maximum. And that risks not just London, but it risks conflagrations up and
Everywhere.
down the country.
Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And I know, I mean, you know, as you know, John, I have a little bit of an insight into the police force. And I'm telling you now, there aren't the numbers. The
And then
police
what's
force,
the next step, Bobby? Military?
what military?
I know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Those videos, the videos I've been doing on my channel, just showing you how desperate we are.
We
We're in
can't
trouble. We
afford
can't.
1-2 aircraft carriers. We are
No,
a joke.
we can't afford. And the thing is, even if we did, the problem is if you put soldiers on the street, it will take just one wrong incident, one pull of a trigger.
I've got an even bigger problem.
Yeah.
How many soldiers would raise the fist in solidarity with the statement free Palestine?
Again, this is another issue.
Do we even know if we could if orders are going to be obeyed? And what if we put people with live ammunition on the streets and they rebel against orders?
Well, this is the other thing that we have a serious issue with as well.
Our society is structurally weakened at every single point.
And we have to come to the conclusion that it's been done on purpose.
Oh, it's been done deliberately and purposefully as a deliberate campaign of subversion over the last 20 years, 30 years. And
Absolutely.
United Nations, JACUS.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, Agenda 21, United Nations, Davos, WEF, wankers.
Yep.
And then China.
Yep.
Why was China in a £4 billion deal for the BBC to make woke content?
Exactly. Everything is being done on purpose.
You know, that Shanghai Media Group deal with BBC was vile.
Of course.
Because what happened was the Chinese then took that programming, that BBC content.
Yep.
And they showed it, but they didn't show it on broadcast television.
Nope.
They showed it only on Youku, which is a fully state-controlled Chinese version of YouTube. Mind you, if you think YouTube is a fully state-controlled,
Wow. Yeah.
But you know,
Good.
but there's no dispute about Youku. And then
No.
they used that to identify people who were intellectually weak, who should not be given positions of power within the Communist Party.
Exactly.
So if you were influenced by Western wokeness and rainbows and LGBT, China used that BBC deal, that BBC content, to mark you in a box as repressed.
And there you go.
While the BBC showed this socially weakening stuff to all and sundry, and you know, pushing ideas like white guilt and so. Do you think the Chinese have got the slightest notion of an idea like Chinese guilt?
Is there such a thing?
Are we sorry for the things we've done? Well, no more than we're not going to be sorry for any of the damn things we're gonna do.
Exactly.
Because I can promise you one thing about the Chinese: they plan to win.
Of course, any way possible.
They plan to win, and they plan to win space, and they plan to win big.
Of course.
And so making sure that the West falls over as soon as it tries to stand up has been a major aim.
And a major, almost. Well, it's. Look,
So,
we're on the edge of the cliff, aren't we? Let's be honest.
I mean, ironically, Senator Joe McCarthy has become a meme, hasn't he? You know, for,
just a bit.
For stupid paranoid repression.
Yep.
With the Un-American Activities Commission and stuff in 1950.
Yep.
But here's the kicker. He was not wrong.
No, he wasn't, was he? Let's be honest. He wasn't wrong at all.
Here's another kicker. When Enoch Powell spoke
Mm,
about how vitally important limiting numbers so that we maintained integration, no matter how much he got castigated, pilloried,
yeah,
and ostracized, and how much it wrecked his career, for a
yeah,
very smart, brilliant politician,
yeah.
he was not wrong.
He's not wrong, and the proof is right here in front of us right now.
And with both of those things, the time is coming where we as a society are coming to have to,
Yep, and it's
because
coming
things are falling apart.
massively falling apart.
And this is an election year in the US and an election year here.
Yep.
And our enemies, and we have them,
Oh, we have a lot. We have a
will
lot of
not
enemies.
be letting that opportunity pass.
Oh, no. Oh, no. The plans are well
I
afoot
shudder to think what will happen when the Israelis do actually move into Clear Rafah.
because it's gonna happen.
Because I think
Because
that's where we're risking a major flashpoint. When there's the next escalation,
yeah,
I think that's when we're risking a major flashpoint. And we're going to find out what the Prime Minister of Great Britain promising to be tough is really going to mean. Because
yeah.
now he said that, he's going to be seriously fucking tested.
Oh,
And
he's gonna be
we are
tested.
going to have to try and somehow keep our heads in the middle of what's going to be a great deal of provocation.
Yeah.
And frankly, we are at substantial / severe terror threat.
Yep. The threat level is up there, and
And the idea that we've got the resource and the manpower that we're going to catch all of these is
no.
not looking very likely, because every bastard is going to be trying it on.
And they've been emboldened to do so. They can
Well,
see
haven't
how
they just? I
yeah,
mean, what a massive propaganda coup for Hamas to have from the river from the sea strolling down Big Ben. It was the most disgusting thing I've seen in many years that was allowed to happen, because
and
that's went all the way around the world,
yep,
and that signaled that we are weak and it's
yep,
time to strike.
yep.
And we let
When
that happen.
and the police saw it, because you can't miss where it's coming from,
Because
and they did nothing. They did
but
nothing. They
it's
walked
exactly
away.
because they know that as soon as they do something,
The shit's gonna
all
hit
their
the fan.
asses are on the line,
Yep.
and they're not backed up. So why not going to act?
No.
They're not going to act.
You know,
If
I
that
mean,
is changing, well, we're going to see.
well,
We're
it's
going
not
to
gonna
see.
it's not gonna change, because you and I know full well we do not
But
have the manpower. We do not have the manpower.
Mr. Chris Williamson, the spokesman for George Galloway last night,
Ugh.
made it
Mm,
very clear that his brand of Corbynite far leftist thinks that the country's ripe for revolution.
yeah, but which revolution?
Well, they think it will be theirs.
Yeah, well, it's funny that they always
Like they always do.
yeah, but Mr. Galloway and his friends need to realise that he's just been used, and if he thinks he's made himself safe, he really isn't. Uh, and the voting of Galloway in was another dark day. It's every day.
After the next general election, Rochdale will never see George Galloway again.
Oh no, man, he's gone.
You know, he's just totally there for the opportunism.
Of
You know,
course,
and he'll
of
do
course.
nothing at all for constituency, and he won't think that he even should.
No, no, because he's done
So
his.
I think I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of hyperbole about George Galloway today.
yeah,
I think that he's being substantially overstated as some kind of threat,
mm,
because I actually think Galloway is not where the threat is coming from.
no,
Galloway is just
not.
a political opportunist who's
Yeah,
in with Hamas.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he's
and he's
being
obviously
used.
sympathetic to that.
Oh,
And,
absolutely,
and,
one
and
hundred
he'll
percent.
and he hates Britain, and he'll use
Oh,
any opportunity to embarrass or weaken or bring down the British
yeah,
establishment, because
absolutely.
that's his bag, really. That's always been his bag. The man's a
That's all he's
Marxist,
been interested
you
in.
know,
Yeah,
and he's
absolutely.
only ever been interested in the Middle East as allies to his Marxist cause.
Exactly.
He's only ever been in it for what he could get, and he ain't going to change now. So I think, to an extent, I think the threat, brackets of Galloway is being somewhat overstated. I think the biggest threat he is an embarrassment to Keir Starmer.
Yeah,
I think that's
which
the
is
biggest threat that Galloway poses. But um, the Labour Party losing control of its pets, as it's seen the block Muslim vote, as it's losing control of these people that they thought were a foundation of their power base.
yeah,
Um, that's where the actual biggest threat is from George Galloway. Um,
yeah.
let's talk about what happened with Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the
Oh,
House.
yeah,
So, when was this? It was a week ago, last Wednesday, wasn't it? And
yeah. I think it was. Yeah, yeah.
you see, every now and again in the House of Commons, you get what's called an opposition day.
Yes, you certainly do.
And this is where an opposition party is given the right to set the debate for that day.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what normally happens is that the opposition party puts up their motion.
Yeah,
The government will usually make an amendment to it,
of
and
course.
then MPs can vote either on the opposition motion or the government amendment.
Yep.
What never, ever, 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 ever happened before was for the Speaker of the House to go, fuck procedure, fuck you, SNP. Well,
Yeah.
here's Labour's motion. We're debating this instead. Go fuck yourself.
I mean, the fact that he actually
That is
broke those
why
rules.
Commons erupted.
Yeah, because he broke the rules.
That is why the SNP and the Conservative Party walked out the chamber.
Yeah,
It wasn't a petty act of throwing your toys out the pram. It was a
no,
very serious protest
serious, very
about
serious.
fucking with rules which are centuries old,
Yeah,
and doing it to benefit the Labour Party.
yeah, which he's not
Now,
supposed to do as well. It's like,
the reason the SNP proposed this motion in the first place, let's be clear, was for one reason only: to fuck with the Labour Party.
of course.
So we're not exactly playing innocent here,
No, no, no,
but that doesn't change what happened.
no.
Because the fact is that if Labour MPs had voted on the SNP bill proposal,
Yeah,
then anyone that did would, under the current conditions by Starmer, be kicked out of the parliamentary party, who's the whip.
yep, gone.
So here was a chance to massively embarrass the Labour Party leader with a mass
Yep,
walkout against his position,
yep.
which would have been a disaster. It wouldn't have been good,
Absolutely. No, it wouldn't be good at all.
but it was also an existential threat to Starmer's leadership.
Yep, 100%,
So
100%.
when Hoyle said that he changed this procedure because MPs were receiving threats,
Mm,
well,
mm.
the problem with that is I very may well believe that MPs were receiving threats. I absolutely believe that the number of threats made against MPs is a lot higher now than it was in September.
Yeah,
So I haven't got a problem with that. But it's very telling that the only threats Hoyle talks about is right-wing threats.
well, I mean, that was the ultimate, wasn't it? When everybody knew why and who the actual threat was, but then to come out and say it's the far right and white supremacists, it's like, really? How?
Whereas you've got like Tobias Elwood, who I can't stand, by the way. He's an awful
No,
warmonger. Yeah,
slimy
I'm
person.
not. He's
Yeah.
not a fan.
No, no.
But that mass protest outside his house,
Yep.
which was of course intimidation, was
Yeah,
organised by a former Jeremy Corbyn Labour Party organiser.
no surprise there.
So it's not the far right which is intimidating MPs.
No, we're not doing anything. Well,
But the
I
far-
have to call myself
but
far
the-
right.
the
'cause that's
far
where I'm
left.
at.
And
Ah.
Islamists,
Yes.
the Speaker of the House will not speak their name.
No, of course he won't. The elephant's in
So
the room. The big elephant's in the room.
Was this really about the threat to MPs, or was that
No.
an excuse to head off a threat to Starmer's leadership?
That's exactly what it is. That's what it was.
I
100%.
kind of veer towards it was at least the second.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, the reason that was such an extraordinary moment that day, the reason the Overton window shifted by a country mile in one day,
Massively.
is because just for a moment, it was like MPs were actually having to live in the same country as the rest of us.
Yeah, for that few moments, they lived our life. They to see what we have to put up with.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny little bit.
We must not be surprised at their response, must we, Coffee? Which is to
no.
vote millions of pounds in more money for their personal security.
Yeah, I mean, remember that though. That was the day after said no such thing as no-go areas. No such thing as no-go areas anywhere.
Fill them out. Fill them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, draw up the drawbridge. You're out there, peasants. We're in here.
Yeah, I mean, in the line. I mean, look at what old Harriet Harman said, where she said, "Well, it would be better if we work from home, where it's safer." Oh, so the second you do that, what's the point in Parliament? What is the point in government if you are now going to just hide away?
Dobby, I'm sorry. That question, what's the point of Harman? That's been valid for the last 5 decades.
Oh, I know, mate. I know. Let's be honest. We all know, but for an MP,
the point is, it's craven, on your knees, surrender, and cowardice, isn't it?
Oh, traitors and cowards, mate. Traitors
if you're going to give in to threats, you got no damn spine at all. And the only thing you should do as a politician is resign.
Yep, 100%. Because the simple truth of the matter, this is, and all that did in that moment was signal to all those people outside that if you keep intimidating, you keep threatening, we'll do as you say. And that's
you know what, Gobby? I mean, people have got so many bad things to say about Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, but
ding dong, the witch is dead, and all of that, and all that hanging around dodgy South American dictators, and so on.
Yeah,
she made mistakes. She got things wrong.
Yep.
But there's one thing she had. There's one quality she had, which I have been missing sorely.
Yeah, agreed.
Moral leadership.
And a backbone of steel.
This is a woman whose best friend and campaign manager was blown into a freaking stain by the IRA before her party took government.
Yep. Very naive.
This is a woman whose party was attacked with a massive bomb at a hotel of their party conference.
Yeah.
This is somebody who lost people that she knew and cared about to terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But she was resolute. But these people with their bombs will not stop her going around and talking to people and meeting people and doing what she had to do as a politician, because she was very, very clear. We do not submit to the men of violence.
Correct. I actually opened one of my streams with her being interviewed 2 days after that bombing, and that's what she said.
Harman
Oh,
isn't fit to lick Margaret Thatcher's toes.
nope. I mean,
So then you could
that's
say
the
that about
leadership we
so
need.
many.
Yeah, but that's the leadership we need. That's what we need. I mean, we all know, Margaret Thatcher did lots of mistakes, but when it all come down to it, when she was in power, no one messed with this country. No one messed with us.
Would you have soaked the Belgrano, Robbie?
Yeah, 100%.
Fucking right.
100%.
Sink 'em.
Because it was a threat. It was a threat. I don't, you
Well,
can try.
as the modern term goes, FAFO, Argentina.
Yes, but then again, you see, this is what we're missing now. We are so sorely missing somebody who'll just say, "No, you're not having it." Sunak can get up there now and stand up on that old podium and give it loads, but he's got nothing. He has no idea. He has no idea of the complete lack of capability that we have now. We can't stop things like this. We just haven't got the manpower.
Rishi Sunak does not come across as somebody personally capable of standing up to anyone.
I bet he didn't even stand up to his wife.
He definitely doesn't stand up to his wife.
She's got more money than him. She's got way more money than him.
He knows where the bread gets buttered. He does not stand up to his wife.
No, it's not. The thing is, I mean, you just look at the picture of him.
He's not. He should never have been Prime Minister, and in my mind, he isn't Prime Minister.
No,
the same way as Jodie Whittaker is not Doctor Who. The two things do not fit. They are not compatible.
I mean,
we are going to find out now, aren't we? Because he's thrown the glove down.
He certainly has. He's thrown the glove down, not knowing how many fingers the glove has got, to be fair. He hasn't got a clue.
Know if the glove's attached to the hand, it would blown off with a car bomb, He
has no idea. He has no idea. But the thing is, you look at that man's face, and he does not exude confidence for me. He really doesn't. He just looks like I've always referred to him as dictator.
He looks like somebody playing around at politics who should be busy running the delivery system for some big company.
Yeah, Amazon.
He should be doing some kind of logistics managing.
Yeah. Amazon. He'd do well at Amazon.
Not leading anything, not making policy over anything.
No. Really not. Unbelievable. He just doesn't install confidence. And how long have we waited for him to come out and say something like this? He should have said that.
5 months.
Yeah, exactly. We all saw this. People have been on YouTube for years and in the news and saying this is coming.
Let's be fair, right? It's not hard to see the strategy. Right, let's not straight heads right away and start massive civil unrest. Let's just try and manage this. It'll be like that George Floyd thing. A couple of weeks, it will blow over.
Yeah. It's like ourselves in the winter. At the point, wait for it to all blow over.
Not so much. No. Unfortunately, because Israel is serious about solving this problem. No more Hamas.
No.
Full stop. Underline the end.
Yeah, that's all it needs to be.
Well, that's their decision.
Yes.
But none of us have got the right to tell them that they can't do that.
No.
Right. If Palestinians want peace, they should demand it damn sight more forcefully by demanding a massive surrender.
Yes.
If those who hate the idea of children being bombed and being forced to live in terrible conditions and struggling for food and medicine and electricity and everything else, if that is what is bothering you, if that is what is why you can't sleep at night, demand Hamas surrender.
It's that simple. It's literally that simple.
How many lives could have been saved if the world community had come together and said, regardless of the ins and outs, you've gone too far. Israel will not be stopped unless you surrender. For the sake of thousands of lives, surrender. Hello, George Galloway. Do you give a fuck about a single Palestinian child? You
Of course he
fraud!
don't.
You
Yeah, he's
fraud!
fraud and a traitor. Fraud and a traitor.
So I know Israel's not perfect,
No, of course it's not.
right?
Of
I
course
mean,
it's
that
not.
situation with the shooting with the food distribution yesterday morning,
Yep.
I don't know the full impact of what's going on with that.
No.
The only thing I am sure about is Israel isn't sadistically trying to murder Palestinians, trying to get all the food. They're trying to get that food to them,
Yeah.
and Hamas steals it every fucking time.
Yep. And
Where
then
did
sells it.
Hamas get the material for these rockets?
Well, that was well, yeah. I mean, their launchers. They dug up their water
Oh,
tanks. Yeah.
oh, the suffering Palestinian people, said the European Union. It is £1.5 billion to build waterworks
Yeah, yeah,
so
they
you can
did.
have clean
Yeah,
water.
yeah,
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 thanks. That'll
yeah.
make some nice missile tubes.
Yeah, those tubes would be awesome. Get a nice 125 millimeter rocket in there.
Let's cool it down a little.
Yeah,
There's something else I think we should talk about.
yeah, yeah.
Why will no other country in the Arab world lift a finger to offer sanctuary to Palestinians?
Yeah. Why have they got that huge wall between Palestine and Egypt? Yes,
Walls,
walls.
plural. Yeah.
It looks like about
Yeah, we built
six.
another wall. What are we up to? 7? Not enough. Let's get to 10.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's a wall. There's a wall, and then there's Jesus Christ in the wall. That is huge, and they've done nothing. They won't accept anyone in.
Okay, look, there's a reason, right?
Of course there
Which
is.
is that the Arab countries, okay, there is a certain amount of it is cynicism.
Yeah.
Whereas if you fix the problem with the Jews, then you're kind of going to have to normalize relationships and accept they have a right to exist.
Yep.
And being unwilling to do that, keeping
No.
the agitation, keeping the dirt in the wound, keeping it aggravated,
Yeah, yeah.
and therefore not allowing Palestine to solve its problem.
Yep.
And of course, since the days of PLO, Gaza has been run by Iranian proxies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
God, Palestine government, the government of Gaza is in Tehran and also in Qatar.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You don't think the Hamas leaders live anywhere near the place.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
You wanna live in no, you don't wanna live
And they
there.
are so wealthy.
Oh god, they are wealthy. 8 billion, is it? Or something like that. One of them's worth about 8 billion.
Ah,
Same guy who George Galloway met. Yeah.
they could lift every Palestinian out of poverty out of their personal bank.
Absolutely. 100%. But no, they'd rather just be rich and sit
But
away from it more.
you see, the problem is that the people of Palestine, they've never had their own state.
No.
They've never run a government.
No.
Well, not until Israel tried to give them one. Yeah, they didn't run Palestine before the Jews showed up. That's just rubbish.
Yeah.
Palestine
Exactly.
was run by what we now call Palestine, wasn't even called Palestine, and it was run by the Turks.
Yeah.
Of the Empire.
Yeah, yeah.
So they are people who had a very low social standing.
Yeah.
In terms of how other Arabs see Palestinians, it's equivalent to how Westerners see gypsies.
Yeah.
And
It's an
they
analogy.
tried to give Palestinians sanctuary in other places. And every time the same thing happened. The
Yep.
Palestinians allied themselves with extremists and tried to overthrow the government.
Yep.
That's what a lot of these people who were banged up in Egyptian jails that were let out by the CIA to become a mujahideen. That's where all this goddamn started.
Of course.
And they got really fucked off with it and won't have to do with them anymore.
Of
And
course.
that's why Egypt's built all these walls. The
Yep.
last
And
thing
it's
it
also a
wants
lot.
is for a mass exodus of 2 million Palestinians into Egypt, because if they allow that to happen, they're going to get involved in trying to overthrow the government.
Correct. So
So
they
fuck
built,
you.
yeah, basically, absolutely
And we
massive.
all feel the same.
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about mass deportations and how difficult that is, and how much
yeah.
resolve you need to
Oh
do
God,
that.
yeah,
Well, Kuwait
yep,
expelled 18% of its population after the First World Gulf War.
yeah. You
Every
do. You
single
did.
one of them was Palestinian.
Funny that.
Why did
Mm.
Kuwait expel the Palestinians? Because the Palestinians had allied with Saddam Hussein's plan to invade.
Oh, imagine that.
Fuck
Imagine
you!
that. Yep. Bye bye.
There's nobody left who will give them a chance.
Nope. Well,
Heaven knows what the solution to this ultimately is going to be.
no.
I think the particular conditions in Gaza have created an extremely distorted society.
Absolutely.
One that
Absolutely.
worships not killing, dying.
Yes. It's the dying bit.
Idolization of dying and to indoctrinate children, but there is nothing higher in your life than to hate Jews and to kill yourself killing Jews. And if you do, you will be lauded with the highest honor in Palestinian society.
Madness.
And they
Absolute madness.
bred this death cult of indoctrinated young people who think the only value their lives have is in using that life to end a Jew. How do you
By the way,
negotiate? How do you
I
negotiate
see.
with this?
How do you challenge that
You
when
know,
that's so
and for all the propaganda and the distortions and the outright goddamn fibs, and all the narrative of the poor oppressed Palestinians. And as I say, it can't be said Israel is perfect. And sometimes there have been people in Israel who've been just as extreme as the Palestinians. But it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
question of who's in power.
Yep. This is it. This is it.
The other thing about this situation, which very few people outside Israel seem to grasp, is they don't want to let themselves. I think partly because they're still trying to cling on to the idea that there's some sort of peaceful solution.
Yeah, yeah.
Is just how much October the 7th completely destroyed the entire political landscape.
Oh, it did. It was massive.
October, in terms of a psychological blow,
Oh, it was. Oh,
such as suffered by America after Pearl Harbor.
yeah, yeah. That's a good
You know,
analogy. Good analogy. Very much.
for 70 years, the good, well-hearted, well-meaning people of Israel gave everything they had to try and make some kind of working goddamn peace work.
Yeah, and they did.
And you can't accuse Israel of not being prepared to come to the table. As much as there's been times where there's been hardliners, there's also
Yeah,
been plenty of times where
but
Israel has literally tried to give the Palestinians everything
yeah,
they demanded.
absolutely, absolutely.
Everything. 99.999% of everything. Have it all.
Yep.
Do you know what Nasser Arafat did when the Israelis offered him everything he'd been demanding?
Go on then.
Turned right around, stormed out the meeting, and launched an intifada.
Exactly. What
Meaning
a,
he never really wanted that at all.
no, of course, they don't want that.
How do you negotiate peace under those circumstances?
Exactly.
And then you get what's happened from 2005. Here you are, Palestine. You have a Palestinian state.
We give it you.
Nobody is occupying Gaza. Certainly not the Israelis. All the
Nope.
Jews had to leave.
Yep, they actually did. They actually got up and left.
Talk about ethnic cleansing.
Yep,
Wake
absolutely.
up.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, before the formation of the State of Israel, there was a significant Jewish population in all the countries in the Middle East.
Yep.
Today, there is a significant Jewish population in one.
Yep.
That's what it means to Jews when they hear the Palestinian called genocide.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They have nowhere else to go. The
Yep.
Arabs have frozen them out over the last few decades.
Yep.
You know, and it really is back to the wall. These people want to kill them.
Yep.
Now, yeah, I mean, this current situation, of course, they gave them everything they wanted. They gave them a state. But what do
Yep.
you do when people from that state then come into yours with car bombs
Yeah.
and keep doing it? What do you do when they keep launching rockets at you? So inevitably, you get the build-up of a security apparatus, and then it's normal to have armed guards. Because we crossed that river some time ago in Britain. I remember we didn't used to see an armed policeman ever.
Nope.
You know,
No.
now it's normal at airports and common at other times.
Yeah, but
know,
again,
but
there's
that's
another.
That's minor to what living in Israel against the constant terrorism has meant. You know, we're talking about checkpoints, concrete blocks, barbed wire, everything that you have to have to control the flow of people, so dangerous people can't do murders.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Palestine was given huge successful businesses, rich agricultural businesses.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
acres and acres of wonderful greenhouses for them to profit from and become wealthy and affluent. Do you know what Hamas did?
Tore them up.
Torched them.
Yep. Destroyed them.
Just like Hamas has tore anything away from the people of Gaza that might lift their quality of life.
Yep.
To the point that they've now left families with their children having to sleep next to running sewage.
Yep.
That is a perfect metaphor for society under Hamas. A death cult of running sewage.
Yep. 100% correct.
Make no mistake, this has to stop.
Oh, it does. 100%.
There is no more 7 decades of this. There is no going back to October the 6th.
No.
Let's not forget, October the 6th itself was a result of what was believed to be an increasingly successful period of making the peace deal work.
Yeah.
You know, that allowing Palestinians to work inside Israel was allowing them to earn money, become wealthy, and then that was giving them incentive to cooperate and live peacefully with Israel.
That was it, yeah.
And Hamas was saying that.
Yep.
Hamas was saying, we don't want the killing anymore. We don't want it anymore. We want to come to the table like proper partners.
Yeah.
You know, we want an end to this bloodshed. All the while. Plop, 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 plop.
Yeah,
Plop,
exactly.
Plan, surveil, plop, plop, plop. Plan.
Yeah.
And then they unleashed that horrific massacre.
That horrendous thing. That horrendous day.
You know,
absolutely terrifying.
Not that I am one to listen to Hamas, but one thing that Hamas said does kind of catch in my mind, and I don't say this to minimize them in any way. But they tried at one point to claim that it wasn't them who'd done the horrible rapes and things, because good Muslims don't do that.
Right.
But it was the people of Gaza. Hamas just went in to do targeted kidnappings, but they were followed by people who then went nuts.
Oh yeah, okay.
And you know, I kind of wonder if there might be a little bit of truth.
Well, there was a lot of them who did follow them over the border.
When you have a culture which is wound up to that extent, and then you let it loose,
it's going to do stuff.
I'm not surprised that these extreme acts of barbarity could come from that.
No,
On the other hand, it could just have been a massacre from all along. But I kind of
yeah,
think they're all in it together
of
at this
course,
point. I
yeah.
certainly think, that we need to understand that there are people of Palestine who willingly offer themselves a human shield.
Oh, 100%,
Just as the
100%.
same, but when Hamas talks about children killed, it means people under 18.
Yeah,
And Hamas is putting assault rifles and grenades and bombs in the hands of young teenagers.
yep, they certainly are.
And when you have somebody who's going to throw a live grenade at you, when you have somebody who's going to shoot a live round at you, and you're a soldier, what are your options, Dobby?
There is no option but to return fire. There's no option but to put that target down.
And that's
Pure
how
and
we're
simple.
getting. That's how we're getting these casualties. But
Yeah,
I'm not minimising. There are civilian deaths in Gaza, and
of
they're
course there are.
absolutely horrible. I'm not
Absolutely,
minimising
100%.
them.
No, never will.
But when we put this against other conflicts that we have
Yeah,
perpetrated, meaning Great Britain,
yep,
or the Americans,
yep.
or Muslims against Muslims,
Which happens a lot, a
which
hell
is
of a lot,
happening now in lots of
right?
places.
Lots and lots of places.
The death toll in Gaza, including as a percentage of the population density, is miraculously low.
It is,
And
considering.
whether people think bad things about the state of Israel or not, documented fact about the efforts Israel is making to get people to leave these areas.
Yeah, they are.
Whether now, that doesn't mean Hamas isn't stopping people leaving those areas,
Oh, no, exactly, because they don't
but
wanna
it
lose those
also
shields.
doesn't mean that Hamas stopping those people means Israel can stop going after Hamas, because they would just continue that forever.
Yeah,
The only way is to get in there and take them out. And from what I hear, the job's about 2/3 done.
yeah. That's the analysis in any case.
So we're
2/3.
probably looking at least another 2 or 3 months of active fighting.
Yeah,
And it's at the point where Israel goes into Rafah, but I think we're really going to find out how much resolve Rishi Sunak's draw a line is really going to
yeah,
have. Because I think with people being so wound up, it's at
yeah.
the point that the conflict escalates to what the Hamas supporters know is the end stage, that their
Inevitable,
behaviour
yeah.
is going to get out of control.
And it'll happen. I think it's a foregone conclusion. Something terrible is gonna happen. It
Well,
really is.
I hope that we avoid all of it. I really do. That would be great.
Oh, it'd be brilliant if we
That
could.
would be great if everyone could just calm down and get along, and we could all just get back to the kind of country that we were heading towards in the 90s.
Yeah,
But
but
unfortunately, especially the war on terror has had terrible consequences,
of course.
and this issue inside Western societies and the risk that poses to the ability to continue being free societies. Well, I'm afraid this is chickens come home to roost.
Certainly has. It's
Well, Gobby, you
well,
know
that was
what? I think we've just delivered a bit of a chat there.
I think so, mate. That was a good over 2 hours, and that was, I think we covered it as best we could without going way too deep. Because if you did, we'd still be at, well, I don't know, but the first point we raised, and we'd still be going because
Well,
it's one of those subjects. It's one of them subjects. It really is. It's so in depth. It's such a rabbit hole to go down. But hopefully, it gives people, if they listen, give it like a broad view.
just trying to get my thoughts together today to try and think, well, how can I sort of structure something coherent that might be useful in a couple of hours?
Yeah,
You know,
and that
um,
was. I mean, we've
yeah,
had an
yes,
overview.
I,
Yeah, we've had
I,
an
I,
overview.
I really hope that this video gets some views and some good
So
engagement
do I.
and stuff. And
So do I. You know, it's
I'm
important.
sure it'll get its detractors as well.
Well, you get detractors no
Um,
matter what.
but
You know.
Israel is our ally,
Yep. It
and we
is.
do not abandon our allies.
Take note, Germany. Yeah. Just
Oh,
listen to that
God.
line there if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Try
yeah.
not to sell your friends down the river if you don't mind. That would be much appreciated because we don't need that hanging over us as well. It's
I tell you what, Gobby, if that all kicks off, there's a couple of extra pipelines that get knocked out
yeah, they'll be gone next. But
because no, Germany, you ain't getting away with that shit.
no, accidents do happen, shall we say?
I'm interested to see what happens politically inside as a result
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
But,
I mean, but that's another
having
subject.
said that, I mean, to say about Ukraine is that
Oh yeah,
um, Putin's blitzkrieg failed,
yeah,
meaning his initial strike to try and take Kiev in the first few days.
yeah.
It almost didn't fail.
It was very close. It was a close run thing.
And if it had succeeded, this story would have been over years ago, a couple of years ago, because it wouldn't have been a
Yeah,
story, because that would have been
no,
it. Because if that had
that'd be
succeeded,
finished.
NATO wasn't
Yeah,
going to go and liberate Ukraine completely.
no,
So Ukraine surprised everybody by actually having enough of a spine to resist.
yeah.
Now, what you say about people's views of Zelensky is another whole question. I'm not opening that
Oh
rabbit hole
yeah,
at all.
that's another rabbit
But
hole to wander down.
the fact is that Ukraine did successfully resist, and then that in itself created its own dynamic where we could go, okay, well now Russians invaded, Russia's be aggressive, Ukraine's resisting, we've got to support,
Mm,
and we got into sending them rockets, gems, and bullets.
mm.
And that's a little bit of an iffy line, but Mr. Putin has to buy his weapons from someone as well, so it's not, you can't
Well,
really complain
uh,
totally about it. But
well,
just to stay just the right side of not sparking a larger war.
well. Let's be honest.
And now we find out that with the fucking idiots who are giving the orders are playing stupid buckets.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
And you know
Idiots.
that could go up
Yeah,
in all our faces, and
yeah.
the whole shape of the world and everything you think you know and the comfortable life you think you have could be
Yeah.
fucking gone.
Very quickly. Very, very
Facts.
quickly.
Islamism is lesser than nuclear war.
Just a bit. Just a little bit, yeah. To be fair, it really is. But
So the point is, it is the only challenge that we've got, and the only
no,
challenge that we've got in trying to remain a free society.
yeah, which is what it's all
And
about.
you see, the thing about democracy, as is often said, you know, it's the best form of government. It's the worst form of government apart from all the other ones.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because obviously, at the end of the day, democracy is codified mob rule, where
yeah,
some people prefer a more legislative structure of a republic. But
yep, yeah,
uh, uh, at the end of the day, um, uh, democracy requires empathy.
yeah. It does.
You have to understand that the other guy's got feelings too,
Yep,
so that you don't hate him just because you disagree.
yeah. Which is
And
something
it's
seems to be sorely
reciprocal.
lost.
It goes both ways.
Yes, it really does. That's the thing.
Democracy is codified warfare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for all
it's
intents and purposes.
warfare
Yeah,
by other means, diplomacy.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so we have to have that shared basis,
Yeah,
and our society is at threat until we could be certain that we have that again.
yeah. Agreed.
Because it's when people shut themselves off, when their minds them closed, when they shut down their empathy for other people, we get tyranny. And
Yeah.
it's just a question of which bunch closed-minded bastards come out on top.
Yeah.
But it's bad news for the people either way.
Yeah.
Do you
Exactly.
think the poor, suffering bastards of Europe thought it was any better to have to suffer a police state under Adolf Hitler as it was to suffer a police state under Joseph Stalin?
Exactly. Exactly.
It was the same shit both ways.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
only
right.
when that value of empathy, that value of intelligence
Yeah.
comes to the fore. And to do that, we have to be best of ourselves.
Yeah, we
And
do.
that's what it means to keep a free society. God only knows we're in trouble.
We are in trouble. We're in
But
quite a lot of
also,
trouble.
I know we can never, ever, ever give up.
No, we should never give up.
And that was just as true when our ancestors were getting hung, drawn, and quartered and requesting a fair price of bread.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen
I
to that.
think that sets us to close down for tonight, Dobby.
It certainly does. It certainly
Farewell,
does.
chat. Thank you for sticking with us. I hope you found it worthwhile.
Excellent. Thank you for everybody who's been in the chat. It's been very good and enjoyable to see all your comments popping through. I hope you've all enjoyed this. Sheila, that's right. Appreciate what you have while you can. Let's try and keep some level heads. Let's try and, as hard as we're being pushed to push it into a dangerous situation, let's try and keep our heads level and see if we can sort things out. And with that, I'm going to bring it to a close. Thank you, John, for all your
Thank you,
wonderful
Dobby. Thank
insights.
you, everyone.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for all those insights. I hope everybody has a chance to go through this. It was nice to have a balanced view and a little bit of a history lesson so we all know where we stand and how things are where they are. And with that, I should bring it to a close. Thank you so much. And I will catch you all in the next one. So good night.